The Battle of the Little Bighorn, one of the most significant confrontations in American history, is often remembered through the accounts of those who fought on both sides. Yet, the perspective of those who stood at the heart of the conflict within the Lakota and Cheyenne camps offers an invaluable glimpse into the strategies, tensions, and spiritual guidance that shaped the battle. Among the most vivid of these first-hand accounts is that of William J. Bordeaux, a Brule Sioux chronicler, whose retelling provides an intimate and insightful look at the events leading up to and during the battle. Bordeaux's story stands as a powerful record of the bravery, unity, and spiritual strength of the warriors who faced an overwhelming enemy in defense of their land and way of life. On the morning of June 19th, the victors broke camp and departed from the headwaters of the Rosebud, moving north and west toward the Little Bighorn River. Upon reaching a favorable spot, they established a campsite directly east of the river's forks. Before long, the winding banks were lined with a sprawling succession of lodges resembling a forest stretching several miles. These lodges were grouped to accommodate the various bands, which included a sizable contingent of Cheyenne. The village's location was well concealed by dense groves and tall trees, providing cover from direct view. A recent buffalo hunt had yielded enough provisions to sustain the inhabitants for a month. This immense village was the largest gathering of Sioux to date. Moreover, the warriors were well armed with firearms, and their ponies were well fed, fit, and prepared for either an extended buffalo chase or a prolonged skirmish. On the evening of the 23rd, Crazy Horse received numerous visitors. Among them was Foolish Elk, who mentioned that notable individuals such as horned antelope, forebears, bear ribs, elk head, and dull knife of the Cheyennes were present. The night was pitch black, with flashes of sheet lightning illuminating the western hills, followed by restless rolls of thunder. "Someone is he-yoken lowen," meaning they are singing a thunder song, remarked one of the group. Crazy Horse responded, "That mournful sound we hear is Sitting Bull. Today I was informed that he would leave his lodge and climb to the high hills to pray, seeking some forewarning, Humbleaclake." Elkhead added, "If that is true, he is deeply spiritual, and whatever insights he shares should be regarded with great respect." Amid these signs of an approaching storm, a piercing wail was heard coming from the northern hills. As recounted by an eyewitness present at dawn, Sitting Bull, the seer, shared the interpretation of his vision with a select group of leaders, including Crazy Horse. "While I stood atop the butte last night," he said, "the Great Spirit showed me a vision of numerous soldiers advancing southward from Porcupine Creek toward our camp. We will be compelled to confront them, and victory will belong to the Lakotas, for the signs indicate that every soldier will perish by his own sword. Crazy Horse, you will gain further renown in this conflict, and though you will demonstrate your courage and leadership in the battle, the signs also reveal that your mortal journey will soon end, and after this encounter, you will fall and rise no more." That very afternoon, scouts returning from their assignments reported that a lengthy column of soldiers had stopped to set up camp near the confluence of the Bighorn River. When this information reached the village, it erupted into a state of great excitement. Seasoned, battle-worn warriors of past generations gathered in small circles, and while savoring their cherished nick-nick smoke, they discussed the ominous news and its possible consequences. Crazy Horse's behavior caught his friends off guard, as he was typically calm and composed in the face of danger. On this occasion, however, he appeared unusually agitated. Instead of his usual steadiness, he rode quickly and restlessly to the lodges of various tribal leaders, engaging in brief discussions with them. Upon returning, he rushed into his tent, only to emerge moments later carrying his medicine bag. From it, he retrieved a small kit of earth pigments in different colors. Wetting the palm of his hand, he dipped it into the pigment and carefully pressed a maroon-colored handprint onto the flank of his pinto pony. Repeating the action on the opposite side, he then drew an arrow and a bloody scalp on both sides of the pony's neck. Once these markings were complete, he secured his horse within close reach. This account was shared with me by my mother, who had heard it from 2 uncles. On the evening before the fateful battle, all the campfires outside the lodges were extinguished early as an extra measure to avoid drawing unforeseen danger. Inside one of the lodges, Crazy Horse and a small group of his closest allies sat speaking in hushed tones. Their discussion revolved mainly around the looming confrontation, which now appeared inevitable. The presence of soldiers camped just a few ridges away from a community that had already endured attacks seemed far from coincidental. "Whatever their intentions," Crazy Horse said, "I trust we are prepared to face them and show no mercy. I suspect their long journey was carefully planned, likely in secret collaboration with Crook, aiming to trap us from both sides. So far, we've outmaneuvered them by forcing Crook to retreat and removing any immediate threat of retaliation. This force can be handled similarly. Based on reports, their numbers are smaller, so if my strategy unfolds as planned, we should have no difficulty in defeating them." At dawn, most of the village was active well before the sun rose. Smoke curled into the sky from campfires, where women busily prepared the morning meals. After breakfast, the daily routines of the village commenced, and eager children, having completed their chores, headed out to round up the village's pony herd. Meanwhile, groups of older tribesmen gathered in discussions that clearly reflected their concerns. In the tense calm created by the looming threat, Crazy Horse began organizing the village's defense. Scouts were dispatched to monitor the soldiers who might approach at any moment. Upon their return, they reported that the troops were about 3 ridges away, approximately 10 miles, and divided into 3 columns. This news immediately transformed the village into a hive of intense activity. Warriors, both young and old, hurriedly caught their horses and, almost without thought, raced toward the lower end of the village where a growing crowd of braves had already assembled. A group of vibrant Cheyennes, who had been preparing throughout the morning, suddenly charged forward. As they rode past, they signaled to the Lakotas that they would engage the soldiers and hold them off for as long as possible. Amid the rising excitement, Crazy Horse regained his calm and focused demeanor. Mounted on his painted pinto pony, marked with war and victory symbols etched on its neck and thighs, he rode along the rows of lodges, encouraging his warriors. "Stay steady and fight until your final arrow and bullet are spent," he urged. "Remember this above all else. The lives of our women and children are at stake, even more so if the soldiers reach the village. Once you are mounted, follow me toward the river, where several bands are already waiting." Regarding the events at the upper end of the village, the most reliable account I have comes from Elkhead and others who confirmed his version. Our 2 bands, composed of Hunkpapa and Minikanwoju, encountered a group of soldiers who had approached the village unnoticed. Before they could organize their formation, we disrupted their attack, driving them back to a wooded hillside. There they dismounted to take cover behind trees and rocky boulders. We kept them occupied, forcing them to evade our bullets and arrows. A second group, some of whom rode white horses, managed to push through and cross the river, but we repelled them, inflicting casualties among their ranks. When they attempted to cross the river again, the effort was even less successful. They suffered more losses and retreated in disarray. For the rest of the battle, they stayed concealed within a dense grove, shielded by heavy brush. At first, we could not understand why they were making such determined efforts to break through our defenses. Then, a group of young riders arrived from the site of the other conflict, bringing news of the complete destruction of Custer's command. Their intention became clear. They had been rushing to assist Custer, who had planned to attack the lower end of the village. The end of the Battle of the Little Bighorn revealed a haunting tableau of lifeless figures sprawled across the battlefield. The fallen soldiers, pierced by bullets and arrows, lay scattered along the route of their advance. a somber reminder of a valiant yet ultimately futile struggle against overwhelming odds. By either fortune or careful judgment, Major Reno and Captain Benteen managed to withdraw from their precarious position near the village, slipping away from danger under the cover of darkness and avoiding the grim fate that befell their less fortunate comrades. The dramatic conclusion of the Battle of the Little Bighorn, as seen through the eyes of Bordeaux and others who lived through it, leaves a profound legacy of resilience and courage. The warriors' strength, their awareness of the battle's outcome, and their unwavering commitment to protecting their people and traditions speak volumes. In the aftermath, as the fallen soldiers lay scattered across the battlefield, Bordeaux's account ensures that the voices of the Lakota, Cheyenne, and other tribes are preserved, offering a rich and powerful narrative of this historic clash. Through his words, the story of the battle is immortalized, not just as a moment of victory, but as a lasting symbol of the enduring spirit of resistance.